Having a family that set your future for you without your knowing it, it's something that no one can never imagine. It's like almost like a dream, and someone would try to figure it out, or someone would even get along with it. But when I learned from my own parents, I was in shock and couldn't even believe they could go so far. Name is Peter. This is my story how things turn out for me, but thanks to some help, I avoided it. Anyway, let me start with the story. I was just an average guy. I was still living with my family at the time, and I was working part time. And no, it was nothing like we were struggling with finances. I wanted to earn my own money, and I was the only child. And when this all happened, I was about 21, and I have been single for a while as well. My last relationship ended around senior year of high school. Me and my last girlfriend decided we wanted to split up, since we had our different views what we wanted in the future, and so we ended it in good terms. And ever since then, I started working part time to earn my own hard earned money so I can move out. I was hoping to find my own small place in town somewhere, and I hadn't even told my family about it yet. But I was planning to tell my parents about it, of course. And after a while, I had managed to save up at least half what I was needed. Then, it was then when my whole life drastically changed. One day, my parents told me that we were going to have some guests over for dinner. I was like, guest? Who? And it turned out to be Mr. Johnson, who is an old friend to my parents, and his daughter Maria. We had sometimes had guests over for dinner. Sometimes it was friends to my parents or some relatives or even some of my own friends. But then, during dinner, when they came, I was really surprised because Maria and I had met several times when I was growing up. But around halfway through dinner, Mr. Johnson looked at me with a smile and said, I'm so glad that you're going to marry my daughter by the end of the month. I was like, what? Even though I didn't say it, Maria smiled and said that she was so excited and that she was looking forward to it. I, well, I didn't even, I was stunned. But I wasn't even into Maria in that way. Sure, she was cute, but I wasn't even interested in her in any way. Did I even say anything on all about this? No. I kept my mouth shut. The reason why it was that I didn't want to cause any drama. And after that, Maria and her dad had left. After dinner, my parents sat in the living room watching some TV, and I walked in there. I asked them, Mom, Dad, what Mr. Johnson said about me marrying Maria, is that real? Which both confirmed. They said that it was going to happen by end of the month. But I said I wasn't sure if I was even ready to get married. But my parents said something that really shocked me the most. You don't have anything singing this. It is final, said my dad, firm. My mom said the same thing, and I knew that at that point it was pointless to even argue about it. Because it was only getting worse and worse if I disobeyed them or something. So, that, that after revealing, I went to my room. I texted my friend George, who was an old friend from high school. When I told him about what was happening, he was in shock as much as I was, and that my parents was trying to do this. He just simply told me just hang on there, and I wasn't sure exactly what he meant by it. But since the wedding between me and Maria was about the end of the month, which were about a few weeks away, so I continued to live my life as much as normal I could, even though I just couldn't feel happy. I was even forced to spend some time with Maria so I can get to know her even better. Despite I tried to make some excuses, sometimes I wasn't feeling well or that I had to end our time shorter. Sure, it worked sometimes, but yeah. But as the month was getting closer and closer to the end, I was getting panicked until the light in the future of my life came to me. George called me one day when I was home alone. He told me that his cousin, Fred, is in town to take me with him from our hometown. I was like, what? I actually had met his cousin Fred a few times, and I told George, wait, so this is what you meant? He said with a tone of firmness to me, yes. I wanted to help you since you were one of my best friends from school. You helped me so much with homeworks and the same things. So I thought if you could live far away as possible from our town, it was possible. So I reached out to my cousin Fred, and he was more than willing to. So now he's actually in town, and he's gonna stay in town for a few days, but you had to go there to wait for him. I was like, sure, when? He said that Fred was in town, but he had to leave only for 2 days because that he had to fix something with his truck. But he would be back in a few days, and I had to leave in the middle of the night without my parents even trying to stop me. I agreed. Then, a few days later, during one night, late night, if that were precise, while my parents were still asleep, I packed a backpack and a suitcase with some things from my old home. I didn't have much things left since I was planning to get rid of most of it already since I was gonna move out. So I didn't even have much things left. I managed to sneak out the house quietly and walk down the street by the next intersection. I saw this dark blue truck, and it was Fred's car. I got there, I got in the car, and we drove away normally without causing any disturbance or even to make any, you know, suspicious. We drove the whole night, and I actually fell asleep maybe halfway through, as I even saw the lights of behind me fading away, and we drove all the way to South Carolina where Fred lives, and was at least 6 states away. He let me stay with him for a while, but not long after I started working, and if sometime after that I was able to get my own place, and eventually I met someone, a girl named Evelyn. She was about the same age. We started dating, and 2 more years passed after that. We got married. We had a small wedding, just between me and her family, and of course, they were all aware of my family drama. They supported me for my escape from what I could be trapped in. You may think trapped. Well, I later learned from George that my parents had searched for me, asked around, but no luck. Eventually, since they couldn't find me anywhere, they just give up. Then, another thing. After I had moved on, And I later overheard from George that Maria did end up marrying someone else, but it didn't last long because turns out that she was spending money like crazy. And since her divorce, no one in town doesn't even want to be with her. Now she's just struggled to find a man to simply, in her words, be happy with. But I was just glad that I dodged the bullet on that one. I was not even sure exactly how much more I could even handle if I were to be with her. But since then, me and Evelyn have been happily together. Not long afterwards, but we were married, we actually even welcomed our twin daughters into our lives. From time to time, I reached out to George with some updates about me, my life, my children, and all that. And I even made him as their godfather, which he had no problem with. I even considered him not more like he's just a best friend, but as a brother. Because he was the one who helped me get away from my parents' crazy idea. Did I even went back there? No. I never went back and I have no intention to ever going back. You may even ask, are I even letting my parents to meet my twins or even let them know about them? Well, maybe when they are older. For now, they're just still young and I don't want to force them to meet their grandparents. And even though you may think, if they see my wife, my twin daughters, they may change their opinions. They actually will feel regretful. It's a 50-50 on that. But I'm not going to risk my happiness, and especially even if I did went back. If I went back alone, my parents probably would like try to set me up with Maria again, which I firmly would say no, since I'm already happy married with Evelyn. But maybe one day when my twins are older, when they are fully aware exactly what happened to why they never met their paternal grandparents. I just said that they have grandparents, but they're just busy. And they live a little bit far away, and travel sometimes can take a lot of time. And which I understand from that. I just hope that they will understand when they're old enough to understand exactly to why I left and why they hadn't even met or even seen their grandparents. And as far as I know, my parents doesn't even know about my daughters that even exist, or that in fact where I even live, or that I'm even married. If they somehow find out about it but never even reached out to me, well, I'm at least happy that I don't have to worry about it. Because I do wonder sometimes, how would my life been if I had married Maria? After I learned that she from our first marriage, that she spending so much money on crazy things like new clothes, makeup, spa treatments, and it was like those things aren't cheap. And my salary at my current work may have been a little bit more than now, but I didn't want to spend that. And Evelyn, she is far from different from Maria. And I do wonder if we would have had a child together, me and Maria, if I marry her and all, would she still have spent all the money, like the child, money for the child, on clothes, makeup, and all? I mean, it's a possibility, I guess. But if that would have happened, I would not been happy. And I would like, you putting yourself right from your own child. But yeah, I'm glad I not ended up with Maria at all. I had even told that to Evelyn at one point, and she totally agreed. Compared to Maria, Evelyn is an absolute sweetheart. She cooks a lot of good food for us, and she laughs even to some of my bad jokes. And but she is not only a sweetheart, she has a heart of gold. She is a perfect mother. And for George, I am really grateful for that he helped me. And of course for Fred. He was the one who came and saved me from my insane family. I wonder if I had even siblings, they probably would have done the same thing to them. So I'm glad for that. But anyways, this is my story. Thank you for all for listening. Thank you.